We have 5 of these fellas for you. Our first criminal, or should I say criminals, plural. They're Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie was born on October 1st, 1910 in Rowena, Texas. Similarly, Clyde was born on March 24th, 1909 in Tellico, Texas. Clyde was a career criminal, and he was incarcerated in about 1930 and released in 1932. He was held for 20 months. Immediately after he gets out of prison, though, he's like, I'm gonna team up with this chick, Bonnie, and they go on a 21-month crime spree. This guy's fresh out of jail, and he's just jumping right back into it, diving in like Scrooge McDuck dives into his pool of money. He didn't work alone with Bonnie. He also worked with associates in the business, including Clyde's brother Buck and his wife Blanche. The FBI issued a warrant for their arrest in 1933 for the theft of an automobile, but they were finally killed in Louisiana by a police ambush, a joint operation between the officers from Louisiana and Texas, after being betrayed by a friend. What a way to go. Our second criminal. His name was Babyface Nelson. Now, he went by a few names, but is most well known as Babyface Nelson. However, some of his other aliases included Big George Nelson, Jimmy, Nelson Mandela, The Baby, Blueface Baby. Nelson was an accomplished car thief by the age of 14. What a quick learner this guy. His early criminal career including stealing tires, running stills, bootlegging, and armed robbery. He worked with marginally better weapons than the criminal standard at the time. Number 3, John Dillinger. John Dillinger was born on June 22nd, 1903 in Indianapolis, Indiana. As a child, he committed a lot of petty theft, pocketed a few candy bars. Don't be doing that, you naughty kids. That's how you get killed later on in life after escaping 2 prisons. He robbed a grocery store in 1924, but he was caught and imprisoned. Eventually, though, he escaped this prison and went with his newly formed gang to Chicago, Illinois. He and his gang were quite efficient at robbing banks. They became quite well known. In fact, coining the phrase, "Get down and nobody gets hurt." With his partner in crime who he met in prison, Harry Pierpont, who was an experienced bank robber, he robbed banks until they decided to take a break in 1933. Before they took a break, one of the boys had to, of course, shoot a police officer, prompting the Chicago police force to form the Dillinger Squad, an elite squad of police officers dedicated to incarcerating John Dillinger and his gang, of course. He was caught during his attempted vacation with his gang because somebody in the gang decided to set the hotel on fire. That meant that the Dillinger Squad was on the case. They eventually found and apprehended the entire gang. But Dillinger, the smart fella he is, escaped prison in 1934 again and made a new gang. This time, he squatted up with our old buddy, Babyface Nelson, but he was finally caught and folded like an omelet after his girlfriend, Anna Purvis, had tipped off an FBI agent of his whereabouts. A shame it had to end that way. For our 4th criminal, his name was Pretty Boy Floyd. Pretty Boy Floyd was born on February 3rd, 1904. He had a child, Charles Dempsey, also known as Jack Floyd, who was born while Floyd was serving a 4-year prison sentence for robbing a Kroger in St. Louis, Missouri. Pretty Boy Floyd was known for his reckless use of a machine gun. Floyd became public enemy number 1, and a $23,000 bounty was offered for his capture. He shot a bunch of men with a gang to free one of his fellas from prison. This was known as the Kansas City Massacre. Floyd, though, died 15 minutes after being shot on October 22nd, 1934. Now, for our final criminal of the night, Alvin Old Creepy Corpus. In 1926, he was captured and served 10 years in prison for burglary. Of course, Alvin was not one to sit in prison. He broke out in 1930. Corpus formed a gang with associates Ma Barker and her children, forming the Barker-Corpus gang, returned to kidnapping, seeing that ransom demands were far easier money than robbery. By 1935, however, the investigation caused by all their kidnappings led to their arrest, or sometimes deaths, for most of the key members. The next day, shortly after 5 p.m., left the apartment and got in a Plymouth coupe. Hoover, an officer who was assigned to the case, signaled his men, closing in on him. This police director ordered Corpus to be cuffed. Ironically, nobody had thought to bring handcuffs, so an agent just took off his tie and tied his hands. The fish had been caught.